Hey, well, welcome back to the next installment of our Shine 2021 series. I'm Pastor Rob Nelson.
And I am Faith Phelan, the church administrator here at New Heights.
Hopefully you've been able to work through the playlist, and most recently you would have seen our overflow video, which was part of our Pillars of the Appeal.
Yeah.
And as you went through those, I'm hoping that you also noticed a common theme, and that is community. We are a church with a community focus. And I hope you see this in so much of what we do here and what we're about. And in fact, when we did our first appeal in 2017, we had an important community focus was how do we address the early childhood, both care and education needs, as well as before and after school programming. And that was a big part of the project. Well, in that time, or since that time, the school district has really stepped up and found a solution to that. And so that also has shifted things for us. And we've continued to ask, so what are the needs in the community that we can better serve? How can we really be a community center? And as an example, this last spring, our school district had a referendum around building a performing arts center.
Right.
There was a ton of community support for that, but not enough that it passed. And so we're looking at that and saying, hey, our new space would be a great space, at least in the interim, to host concerts, to host musicals, to host community theater, things like that. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But all that to say, we are being intentional about how the community can be in our space and it can really serve the community well. So let's remind you of some of our key sort of foundational or our foundations to this project. We've been saying for a long time now that our future facility will be a safe place, a central gathering place, a welcome place, and a sacred place. And what I want you to notice there is on all of those, it's the word place.
Yeah.
This is about a space and place where people gather. And place, I guess, also denotes something important. As a church, we are New Heights Lutheran Church, not because of the building we're in, but because of the people who gather. We're the body of Christ.
Right.
And so we will create this new place for people to gather where we will gather as well.
Yeah, and so along with these foundations, this project also started with some guiding principles, things to help us stay on the right track and make sure we're moving forward in the right direction. So we have ownership, recognizing that this isn't our building, this is God's building. It's also going to be a community resource, right? Since the beginning, a place where the community can come together to be together. It's going to be flexible, knowing that multiple uses might be designed in multiple spaces. It's also going to be a sacred space, knowing that we will gather as a faith community and that God is present in us gathering. And then also being adaptable, knowing that no matter where we go, in the next 10 years, we can still be relevant and up to date and keep that moving forward. And so as we're looking at these guiding principles, the cool thing is that even as the project has adapted, we've still been able to keep these in mind and help to guide us moving forward. And so as Pastor Rob was saying, we found new needs and a new kind of direction to go and a vision and a mission that is super exciting and inspiring. And so as we transitioned, we've discovered that our future facility will be a community center and venue, a central gathering space for the broader Wisconsin Heights area. It'll be designed for community gathering, connecting, and deepening relationships. And so as we talk about this community engagement feature, we've recognized that this Wisconsin Heights area needs a place, a venue to gather and be together, and that New Heights has the opportunity to provide that intentional space in ways we could have never imagined before.
Absolutely. Now the key question is, so if we provide this space, how do we make it available for everyone? And how can it be something that all people feel comfortable coming to or being a part of? And so we've continued to ask a question that we've been asking here for a long time, and that is, what about those who are not here yet? And so we're trying to, as a vision team and leadership and staff, really diving into that question and trying to understand, well, what do we do about those folks who wouldn't come into a building simply because it's called a church or not? It's maybe not the right kind of church. And so ultimately we went down to that blue box on the bottom with the question, if we're to be a community center and venue, should the campus, that's both inside and outside the building, be called something else? And that really was, Faith, like the key question for us is, okay, so is the building called New Heights Church?
Right.
Or do we think about the whole place and space as something that's more than that or bigger than that, still including us, but more?
It's so easy to say all are welcome here, but sometimes that's just not, it doesn't feel like that. How do we really send that message?
So ultimately, through all this conversation, through prayer and discernment, the vision team came to the conclusion that we wanted to name the campus, give it its own name. And so we want to introduce you to that concept right now, and we're calling it The Grove. a place and space where communities gather, connect, and thrive. Now, as you look at that logo, you see similarities with our New Heights logo. And so let's pop that up and I'll show you what that looks like. And I want to make clear something here. We're not talking about changing our name as a church.
Right.
We are New Heights Lutheran Church, but we are a church who will be worshiping at the Grove. But another way to think about it is this. Imagine the high school band director hosting a concert and they're going to have it at our church or in our building. So that band director can say to the students or the parents, we're going to have the concert at the Grove,
right,
which is a neutral gathering place rather than we're going to use New Heights Church, which for some people all of a sudden might make that a problem, especially with the public-private kind of interaction there. Also imagine maybe a bride is looking for a wedding venue and has decided, well, I don't really want to be in a classical church. Well, because this is known as the Grove, all of a sudden there's new options that weren't considered before. So anyway, we're just wading into that conversation. It's a lot to take in. And Faith, we didn't get there lightly. It was a long process. So
right.
Can you tell us more about how we got there?
Absolutely. So I'm somewhat new to this project team, and one of the exciting pieces that I was wanting to be a part of was this new innovative concept of this building. And so being a part of the vision team and all these conversations, as we kept coming up against these roadblocks about, well, what about those not here yet? What about those not here yet? We decided that we needed to consider a new idea. And so as we thought about it, there were a couple of things that we walked through. First, we knew that it wanted to be New Heights logo inspired. This is a space that's still affiliated with New Heights, still stewarded by New Heights, but also is open to more than just the New Heights name. And so we knew we wanted to draw on that logo. So then as we were brainstorming, we brainstormed over 50 words and ideas and different expressions that could maybe be utilized. And then we kept coming back to organic language. We talked all this time and we kept coming back to creation-inspired words. And so then we narrowed in on trees. Now, trees are biblically mentioned more than any other living thing, well, outside of people and God.
That's right.
And they also speak to healing and restoration, to renewal and connection, a sense of safety.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we said, well, one tree is great. But if we're talking about the whole campus, we want a kind of plurality to the name, something that's a little broader, right? And so then when we landed on the Grove, we realized that it inspired refuge and safety. It kind of creates like a protection almost when you think of a grove of trees. And then we thought about it in the two contexts, from a neutral community center gathering space where it's neutral in language, but it talks about coming together in a way, but also that it's deeply founded in our faith as a faith community. And so as soon as we landed on the Grove, it felt like everything just kind of fell together, and the vision team had all these new ideas about different names for different spaces or opportunities on the site and the larger campus. And so we hope that you're just as excited about this new direction. And we can't wait to explore this more with you and to see how the Grove becomes a reality moving forward from here.
Well, hey, you need to check the next video coming up because we're going to take you into the building. We're going to show you the space and the land and all of that. So follow up with the next video.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.